Have you ever dreamt of going into the Sahara Desert on a camel? I've always wanted to ride a camel, but never thought I would. Come with me and I'll tell you my story. If you're not a subscriber, how about subscribing? I'm trying to build my channel here on YouTube, and I can't do it without subscribers like you. So click below and be sure to give me a thumbs up when the video is over if you enjoyed it. Now let's get started. Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Anne and little Bella. Thank you so much for coming back to visit us. Today, I was sitting here thinking about travel. With COVID, we really miss traveling a lot. I was thinking back to some of the wonderful trips that my husband and I have had. Excuse me. It's so nice to just drink in the afternoon, isn't it? Anyway, one of our favorite trips was our trip to Marrakesh, Morocco. In 2018, we did what's called a home exchange. If you're not familiar with that, the way that works is, let's let Bella down. I don't think she wants to be part of this, do you? Anyway, in 2018, we did a home exchange. That means we listed our home with a home exchange company. And we posted photos and a description of the town that we live in and activities that are in the area. And you list where in the world you'd like to travel. And other people go through this big catalog. It was an online catalog. And they decide if they might be interested in exchanging homes with you. So we had listed places like France and Italy and places in the United States. And to our surprise, we were contacted by a young couple who was living in Marrakesh, Morocco. Marrakesh was a big surprise for us. It wasn't on our list of places we had always dreamed of going. It wasn't on a list of even places it'd be nice to go visit. But here we were faced with a wonderful offer from this couple to spend a week in our home. Actually, I think it was closer to 2 weeks. And they would allow us to spend a couple of weeks in their apartment in Marrakesh, Morocco. So, Jeff and I sat down over a cocktail, no doubt, one afternoon, and we spoke about, we asked ourselves, do we really want to think about Morocco, Marrakesh? And of course, the song Marrakesh Express was ringing through our minds. We were intrigued by it, to say the least. So we got in touch with the couple that wanted to switch homes with us for a little while. And we asked a lot of questions. And of course, when you register on these sites, you have to be verified and you pay a little bit of money, well, not a little bit, I believe it was almost $200 to join the organization so that you can post your home. So there's a little bit of trust factor, yes, but you also have reviews by people who have exchanged homes with those people previously. So, of course, they checked out, and Jeff and I decided it would be fun to go to Marrakesh, Morocco. So a few months later, we packed up all of our things and we took the plane to Marrakesh. Once we got there, we stayed near the market, big market, just like you see in old movies. And there were the most unusual sounds and music and snake charmer even. That was the shocking thing. I remember in old black and white films seeing snake charmers, and I saw one there. So we checked into our apartment that we were staying in, which was very nice. Just a little backstory on the people that we exchanged with. They were Americans, and they were teachers. They taught at the American school there in Marrakesh, and they had been raised here in Florida, and they wanted to come back and see their family. And they also had friends in our town, so they wanted to use our home while they were visiting their friends in our town. So the fact that they were Americans made it a lot easier as far as communication went, because they spoke total English. They understood what we were used to, and we basically had that in common. So there was no real concern on our part as far as what we were going to find there. So our apartment was a nice apartment. It was an apartment owned by the American school for their teachers. And we did this at the end of a school term. This couple was finishing their commitment with the American school, and there were 2 weeks left on their commitment to have that apartment. So they basically allowed us to stay there for the 2 weeks, although we didn't stay for the entire 2 weeks. So we arrived in Marrakesh and went for a walk through the market. The market is made up of a maze of stalls, and you could wander literally for probably days and get lost if you're not careful trying to find your way. We had arrived in Marrakesh during Ramadan, and so the people in Marrakesh, they were observing Ramadan. And all day long, of course, there were the calls to prayer, which for us, living here in Florida and growing up in America, and not being of the Muslim faith, this was all new to us. It was an exotic adventure. So we hired a guide to give us a tour, and it was a multi-hour tour one morning. It was very hot. It was fortunate that he started the tour first thing in the morning, because as the day went on, it got hotter and hotter and hotter, and this poor man observing Ramadan would not even have a drink of water. It was amazing, and he knew Marrakesh like the back of his hand. He literally lived in that part of Marrakesh, and we wandered up and down streets, in and out of the market, into shops that were favorites, into shops that he thought would be interesting to us. It was amazing. We took a carriage ride in the market, all around the market. We tasted food. They had the freshest orange juice. Moroccan oranges are all over Morocco, of course. And you could buy this little glass of orange juice for next to nothing. And so all around the market, there were stalls where you could just walk up and get some fresh orange juice. Absolutely delicious. midway through our trip, we decided to go on a road trip. It was a tour through the Atlas Mountains, with the ultimate goal being getting to the Sahara Desert and riding a camel. Riding a camel has always been on my bucket list. So we got in a sport utility with 3 other women and a driver who was from Morocco. And we went off on a 3-day road trip way into the Atlas Mountains. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We saw the most unusual things. We saw a tree filled with goats. Yes, goats. Unbelievable. While we were out in the town where they make all of the rose perfumes and rose oils, the Moroccan roses, our driver took us to his family's home. That's where they lived. And so all of us got out of the car, and his grandma, who I believe unfortunately appeared to have Alzheimer's, she was laying on a mattress by the door, and we walked into a living room, a huge room that was surrounded all the way around by a couch. It was like cushion all the way around the entire room, and in the center was a big round table, and on the table, his family, it was his mother, his father, his grandmother, and I believe it was a sister, and there was also a brother that came to join us. And they had made little Moroccan baked goods for us, and of course some more mint tea, which was absolutely delicious. They didn't speak any English, unfortunately, but our driver was a great translator. It was unique to go to the home of these people out there in the middle of what appears to be nowhere, off in the Atlas Mountains of Morocco. It's amazing that that driver found his way to Marrakesh to come and get us. But his family was very nice. The interesting thing was that the bathrooms in their home were what I like to call Turkish bathrooms. That means you walk into a room and there is an indentation in the floor where you put each of your feet. And I'm just going to say it, if you have to pee, you squat down and pee in a hole in the ground. Well, we were all wearing jeans, all of the women. No problem for the men, but for us women, you basically had to strip down and hold on to your jeans to keep them from getting wet. I hate those bathrooms. I used a few in the south of France during travels in the past, but didn't expect to find this in somebody's home. Unfortunately, at that time, the roses were not in bloom, but we did stop at a shop and pick up some rose creams and lotions and oils. It was wonderful. And then we went to this site. It was a World Heritage Site that looks like just ruins in the middle of nowhere, up in the mountains. Passed us on to a man who was going to give us a tour of these ruins. And towards the end of the tour, he takes us up this staircase into one section of the ruins. And what's at the top? Unbelievable. There was a rug factory. This man had a business. making rugs. I have to say, it had to have been the only building in all of Morocco that had a fan. Fans and air conditioning were not common things anywhere we went in Morocco. We did have it in our apartment, but most everywhere else it was just very, very hot. So coming to this site where there were fans, this man could have been selling us goat dung, and we would have been happy to listen for as long as he wanted to show us his wares. And so he probably had 50 Moroccan rugs that the lady sitting on the other side of the room had woven. And I don't think this man was going to show us the way out until all of us picked out one rug. So we looked at rug after rug after rug after rug, and eventually we did decide on one rug. This is our rug. It's truly beautiful. Unfortunately, it doesn't go with the decor in our home to hang it on the wall, which is what a lot of people do. So I have it in a hallway in the back section of our house. But it's really a beautiful rug. Hidden rug shop in Morocco. Amazingly, the man even had a credit card machine and Wi-Fi in his ruins in the midst of this World Heritage Site. Absolutely amazing. So, next, after we did that, we took another day. First, we went and stayed at the Casbah. And then, after we were all freshened up and everything, we were taken to a store to try on scarves, long scarves that they wrap all around you so that you can get on a camel and go off into the Sahara Desert riding camels and not have to worry about the dust blowing on you. So they decked us out from head to toe in Moroccan attire. I must say, we never looked so good. So after we were all dressed and ready to go, our driver took us to another Casbah, where once again we had some drinks. By drinks, I should say mint tea. In Morocco, they don't really drink. If you want to have alcohol, you pretty much have to go to a restaurant that serves alcohol, and those are pretty rare. So wherever we were, the drinks they were serving us were mint tea. Okay, so next, we're at the Casbah, right by where we're going to pick up our camels. And each of us is going to get on a camel and ride our camel out into the Sahara Desert. And we're going to stay there. For me, this was so exciting, absolutely so exciting. I'm not sure my husband Jeff was as enthralled. To begin with, the camels are huge. Fortunately, they're on the ground when you get on, and when they're made to stand up, they stand up on their hind legs first, so you're like tipped down forward towards the ground before you finally go way up. And once you're up there, this camel kind of clumps. It's a little unnerving until you get a feel for it, especially walking in the sand in the Sahara. There is nothing around, and all you can see for miles is sand dunes, and little brown camel poops. There are camel poops all over the Sahara Desert. Clearly, there are a lot of tours that are taking people out into the Sahara, and when they take groups on camels, there is a line of camels. And the camels, obviously, are just going to go to the bathroom whenever the urge strikes. So what you see is a path of little brown camel poop balls all over the desert, just lines and lines of them everywhere. You can almost tell when your camel is doing it. But anyway, I digress. So we go off wandering into the desert, wrapped in our scarves. What an adventure. And off in the distance, we see a Bedouin camp. And it's made up of like a circle of tents, all enclosed. When you get into the center, you park your camel outside, and there are camel tenders who watch all the camels all night long. So you park your camel and then you walk into the Bedouin camp. And there, each of us, each couple, had a tent of their own. And also we were met by other people who had joined our tour. So there may have been multiple tours meeting together at this one Bedouin camp. So we had a little tent of our own that had 2 double beds in it, and other people had individual tents. They actually had a flush toilet, I believe. Somehow it flushed. I can't remember how, but I remember being able to flush that toilet in the tent in the Bedouin camp. So anyway, that night, the Bedouin guys who were taking care of us cooked us this wonderful dinner of tagine, which was lamb and vegetables. It was absolutely delicious. And of course, we had mint tea. And then they played wonderful music for us, and we had wonderful desserts. And then the sun went down, and it was time to go to sleep eventually. I have to tell you, it was so hot. Neither Jeff nor I could sleep in that tent. It was just too hot in there. And we chose not to bring a change of clothing because we knew we were going to be in the desert. We were going to need to put our jeans back on the next day to go back to the Kasbah to pick up our other things. So we literally went out to the Kasbah with our, I think it was just our cell phones. It may have been a cosmetic kit that I brought. I don't remember. I don't even think we brought clean underwear because the intent was that we would spend the night at the camp, and then the very next morning after the sun came up, we would ride our camels back. So Jeff and I, as I said, we could not sleep in the tent. It was just too hot. So they had these tables with very long benches that we had had dinner at the night before. Jeff and I stretched out each on a bench and literally slept under the stars in the Sahara Desert. I have to tell you, it was exotic, it was romantic, it was surreal. I've never done anything like that in my life. Never imagined that I would ever do anything like that in my life. Just before the sun came up, one of the Bedouin guys that ran the camp came and woke all of us up and told us to run out and climb the sand dune so that we could watch the sun come up over the sand dunes on the Sahara Desert. I have to tell you, I've never seen anything so spectacular. It brought tears to my eyes. I took this wonderful, wonderful picture of Jeff, who had found a table sitting on a dune and gone up there just to watch this spectacle. It was just unbelievable. One thing about the Sahara Desert that was unexpected was that the sand was a strange color of brown. So I thought it was going to be white or tan, but it wasn't. And I brought home a bottle full of it so that I could give some to friends that we wanted to share our little trip with. And I even made a bottle for us. Look at the color of the sand. Isn't that amazing? So, and I'll keep that forever and ever as a memento of our sand from the Sahara Desert, as a memento of our trip to Morocco, to the Sahara Desert. So, after the sun came up, we all got back on our camels and we went back by camel to the Kasbah, where we had left our suitcase with a change of clothes and toiletries and everything we needed to take a shower. And we took a shower at the Kasbah in a room that had absolutely no air conditioning, no fan, was stifling hot. And as fast as you got out of the shower, you were drenched in sweat again. But we were clean, I guess, for a little while. And then we had this wonderful breakfast at the Kasbah before we got back in the car and started our journey back to Marrakesh. What a trip. Unbelievable. So, when we got back to Marrakesh, we decided this ahead of time, that we wanted to go to a hammam. A hammam is basically a bath and spa place. And there are numerous hammams scattered all over Morocco. The people who live in Morocco typically go to this public bath to bathe. They don't apparently have the facilities in their own homes. So there are little hammams scattered all around Marrakesh. We chose to go to one of the nicer ones that was created obviously for tourists. And we basically went for a day of pampering. We thought after our 3-day trek into the Sahara Desert, camel riding, and spending 3 days in a sport utility, we deserved a little bit of pampering before we moved on to travel outside of Morocco. So when we arrived, they took us to our dressing room, where we changed into fluffy robes and slippers, and they gave us little paper coverings for our privates and directed us into the bathroom. So here's how that went down. You take off your robe, and since it was my husband and I, we were in the same room together. And it's just a little room about the size of a typical bathroom, except that it has a big faucet at the end with like a trough where the water is caught. And then there are 2 table-like platforms where you could lay down, where each of us could lay down on either side of the room. So you're wearing nothing but your little paper panty-type covering. Without warning, all of a sudden, the woman who was assigned to take care of my husband and I takes a bucket that is about this big and hurls it, the water, at me, literally. I didn't even see it coming. It was a whoosh of hot, not boiling hot, but shocking water. Didn't expect that at all. She didn't even say, heads up, incoming, nothing. No warning. All of a sudden, suddenly I'm enveloped in water. And then after that one, she goes and gets another one and tosses that one at me. And then she directs me to lay down, and she takes this brush that's covered in horsehair and literally scrubs the skin off of me. Just scrubbed me from head to toe, everywhere. Everywhere. I could not believe it. I couldn't believe that I actually asked somebody to do this for me and paid for it. When she was finished, you could see all of the dead skin that she had scraped off of my body. I'm not sure what was worse, feeling that scrub brush on me from head to toe, or looking at all the skin she took off. So as I recovered, of course she tossed water on me to wash the soap off, and then I just sort of laid there and relaxed with a towel over me. While I was doing that, she was then doing the exact same thing to Jeff, who, fortunately for him, knew what was coming because he had watched the entire bathing process happen to me. So when we were finished with our baths, we were then taken to another room where there was an official bath of rose petals. It was a milk bath, rose petal bath, and it was a room with 2 bathtubs in it. He was in one, and I was in the other. And we literally just soaked in this bathtub with rose petals. I think there were oranges, other flowers, all floating in this tub. We just sat in there. I think maybe we were there maybe for about 40 minutes. It was just unbelievable. And then someone came in and washed my hair and put these wonderful argan oils in my hair. And then they dried us off, and they took us to another room, and they did a couples massage simultaneously. There were 2 women who gave us a couples massage. And then they led us, after the massage, they led us out to the rooftop, probably looking like hell. I've got the pictures to prove it. And they gave us a snack of little cookies and mint tea. It was so nice and so relaxing. So after that, we then had pedicures, and I had a manicure. Actually, we both had manicures and pedicures. And that was the end of our day of beauty. I have to tell you, the entire day for both of us was less than $200. Here in the United States, for that kind of a day, there's no way that 2 of us would have gotten through an entire day of treatment. We had to be gluttons for punishment to have this lady scraping all of our skin off in the hammam bath. But in the end, my skin was so soft. I mean, before they sent us out in those robes, they coated us with Moroccan oils. It was wonderful. And before we went out to get the pedicures, we each were able to go and take a shower if we wanted to. and then get fully dressed so that we were basically ready to go after the pedicures. It was an unbelievable day of beauty. And then we went to this wonderful restaurant. I believe it was the only restaurant in Morocco that had air conditioning. And we watched a lady do a belly dance with an entire chandelier on her head. And I met some ladies from someplace else in the United States, and they decided to try a hookah pipe. I had never tried a hookah pipe before. So, of course, I had to try it this time as well. It was interesting, not something I would take up forever or even need to do again. It's one of those things that you basically say, okay, all right, I tried it. It didn't taste bad. It was a fruity flavor of, I guess, smoke that we were smoking. It was enjoyable. I don't think it was expensive in Morocco or in Marrakesh. But I'm not sure that I would splurge for it again here or anywhere. So that was our wondrous trip to Morocco. When we left Morocco, we went on to Paris, and then we went to London. We actually took the channel we started in London, and then we took the channel from London to Paris, spent a night in Paris, then went back to London, and then came home. So it was a wonderful vacation, one that we will never forget. If you ever have an opportunity to go to Marrakesh or Morocco, take it. Even if it's not on your bucket list, oh my goodness, it will give you memories that you just will never forget. So thanks for watching. It was fun reliving this vacation and telling you about it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will take a moment, look below, and just click the little subscribe box down below. There's even a little bell if you'd like to be reminded each time I post another video. And feel free to share these videos with your friends or family, anybody that you think might be interested in hearing what I have to say. Also, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed my video. It'll give me a sign that this is something that you enjoyed watching, and I'll create more videos like this. So thanks again. I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye now.